All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for some real people out there, just like you and just like me. Got my old friend Lynn Turner back. This is pretty cool. Lynn Turner, Mr. Belly of the Beast, one of the coolest metal albums from last year. Still out there doing well. Joe, how are you doing, buddy?
Doing great, Dave. Good to see you, man. Very nice
Yeah,
of you to do this again. Thank you.
you're welcome, sir. You've been in a couple of pretty high profile bands in your career. I think the last time I had you on, we didn't really talk too much about Deep Purple and Rainbow, and obviously you worked with Yngwie Malmsteen as well. Maybe a lot of people have forgotten about Slaves and Masters. I think that was like the last Deep Purple album that got some significant radio airplay. I was right at the tail end of my radio career, and that came out. We were all like, "Whoa, this is a
Yeah.
big deal." Um,
That
Deep Purple, they're still going these days. They just got a new guitarist in their band. Simon, was it Simon McBride? Right?
McBride, yeah, great guy, great player, great
Do
guy.
you are you in contact with any of those guys from Purple still,
No,
or no?
not really. I mean, I've said this before. It's kind of like when bands are very tight, and then when they break up or you leave, some cases you still retain a very tight friendship. In other cases, it becomes not that you don't get a Christmas card, but that it's not like a phone call, or anything like that. There's really no need. We don't have anything to talk about, honestly.
Yeah.
Although there have been regards coming from Glover and regards coming, from Ian Pace and things like that, but very rarely. We don't really keep in touch like that. I think it's not quite a divorce, but it's more just like an ex-girlfriend, something.
I got you. Well, there's, the internet, as you know, is always buzzing with all these rumors about,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Richie and Deep Purple. Always, it's the only topic I ever hear when it comes to Deep Purple. Not they've got this new guitarist. Seems like they've been given a little shot in the arm. It was kind of weird there.
Yeah.
Steve Morse left. He was there for years. He had to take care of his wife, but then these guys just went right to a new player, and they seem like they're going to continue. It sounded a little like they were going to retire, or just at least get off the road.
Well, the guys love the music. I know that they love it passionately, and Simon's great. He's a great fit, and I commend Steve Morse for prioritizing his wife and family first, and taking care of her. And I'm sure we all wish, that she definitely recovers from this if at all possible.
Yeah.
But the guys going on, I'm sure there was no hard feelings at all about that, because they are survivors, and the lineup changes in Deep Purple have been tremendous.
Yeah, high
Uh,
quality.
all quality, and yet many, many, many people, which is why I could never understand my entrance, my exit, whatever. No big deal, because it happens all the time. There's constant members coming through the camp. I'll never forget Don Aries saying, one day at breakfast, being a very funny guy, as well as a great keyboard player. But Don said, we should get a retirement house, for all the ex Deep Purple members, like about 300 rooms, you know. And we died, because it's so true. There's so many people
Yeah.
coming in and out of the camp.
Yeah, you got a Mach
So
1, you got a Mach
yeah.
2, and
What are
you
we
were
up
what,
to?
like a Mach 4 or something, right? Mach
I
5.
was like Mark 4.5,
All right.
or something, because it was Mark 4, but it was with me, and then it became a Deep Rainbow, and
Deep Rainbow.
oh God, I mean,
You only
and and
the
and,
purple rainbow,
and
yeah.
what I couldn't understand again was it changes so much that why were people surprised at the
Yeah.
change? Okay, maybe they didn't like me being in it, but I knew, this is an inside fact, I knew I was an interim singer. I knew I had at least one album with those guys. I had no hope for longevity or any of that. And I said, screw this, man. I'm going to take a shot. Who wouldn't?
Right.
Anybody out there wouldn't? You'd be lying and dying if you said you wouldn't. So I said, yeah, I'll take the shot. I'll do the album. And Ian Pace was so kind um, in an article by saying I was kind of like the glue that held it together at that point, because if I had not been there, Richie probably would have split, did something else, and I don't think the remainder of the Purple albums would have ever happened. That's what he said. So I served more than a purpose, and he actually liked Slaves and Masters, and it's one of Richie's favorite albums. So
Yeah. I mean, I
all is
think it,
well with this camp, you know.
yeah, it does kind of combine the best of like that Deep Purple traditional sound, and then elements obviously of Rainbow in there, just because you're there, and because I think the sound and the songwriting at that time, it's kind of unfortunate because when that album came out, obviously the industry was in the middle of that pivot, or at the beginning of that pivot, which really
Seattle,
just destroyed any
yeah,
hope. Say if that had been a big success,
yeah.
that you would have to do a follow-up and you would continue in the 80s, 70s, late 70s. I'm thinking that would have been a definite thing. But it's kind of, I complain a lot about what happened in the 90s, and I think everything could have coexisted. You could have had this new sound out there, and you could have had all of the traditional AOR, hard rock, melodic rock, whatever you want to call it, coexisting. And I think everybody would have been better for it. I think people would have made more money in the long run.
Oh
The
yeah.
record labels would have had more variety, and then maybe this would have been sustained a little bit longer. Of course, you had all the digital stuff come along and the streaming, which kind of really, put the end to everything.
We got caught with the Seattle sound coming out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So that whole thing kind of took a dive. But the funny part of it is Deep Purple's still going on, and there is
Yeah,
no Nirvana. I mean,
right.
you got Foo Fighters, but there's no Nirvana or anything. That whole kind of grunge thing just went right down the tubes. Yeah, I still love some of that stuff. So do a lot of people, but it's not alive and kicking,
Yeah,
and there's a big fact to learn there. I think I don't call it now. They call it classic rock for nothing because it has class.
yeah,
It's stuff that's going to stay around forever. And we did. We got timing. Timing. It was like comedy. Music timing in comedy is everything, right? And same with music, because when a trend comes in or a trend goes out, all of a sudden you're yesterday's news. But somehow cyclically you come back around, and it's a crazy business. But it's absolutely true if you look at the demographics of it. So I don't know. To me, I thought it was a great album. It was supposed to be more commercial. I was the guy that was supposed to come in and do what I did for Malmsteen and Rainbow and make it radio friendly,
yeah,
because Deep Purple was never really radio friendly. They had the underground hits, the Highway Stars, and all the great stuff. I mean, there's no bigger fan than me, Deep Purple. I played my guitar to it. These were the songs I covered in my cover bands. I'm a huge long time fan. So I understand it, but at the same time, most people don't understand this is a job.
yeah,
And when they say, "Look, we want to go this direction," Blackmore did. A couple of the other guys didn't. John, rest his soul, I love John, but he didn't.
yeah,
And okay, that's fine. But you know what? We did accomplish a more radio friendly sound. And as you said in the beginning of your talk here, that it was really more radio friendly than any of the Deep Purple album.
yeah.
You know,
We were really happy. I was at a rock station at that point, and things were starting to move in a different direction. And me being kind of like the traditionalist in the group, I'm like, yeah, this is a no brainer for a classic rock station to play a Deep Purple fronted by Lynn Turner. And I think the audience at the time, the ones that knew what was happening, because then you have this identity crisis. Where's the other singer? And now they've got the singer from Rainbow. So is it confusing? Is this Rainbow? And so you always have to battle that when you're when you're in a brand. It's I always say these days, these are brands more than bands in some cases, because you're
you're
putting
right.
out this new product with this other singer, and in your case, you had to kind of overcome Deep Purple for many years, the Mach 2 era leading right into where you were, but you had pretty much, and then you had Coverdale as well. I mean, so there are a lot of people forget all these different incarnations, and the radio stations today are so lame because they're not going to play anything outside of those two or three cuts they continuously just you know grind into the ground, which is to me it shows lack of creativity and imagination. But I'm sure you wouldn't mind hearing something off of Slaves and Masters on the radio, and I wouldn't mind hearing some Rainbow on the radio, for crying out loud, these days.
Well, first of all, you're not going to get that because you're still going to hear Led Zeppelin. I mean, it's just it's all algorithms now and whatnot. These DJs, there are no DJs with personalities, maybe a few, but who can play what they want. Otherwise, it's all corporate. Everything's become corporate. Everything's become judged by how many listeners they can get, how much money they can get from advertisers, and so on. And reverting back to the original thing, I mean, that's what I didn't understand. Gillen was a replacement singer.
Right.
I mean, what's the big deal here? Everybody's been a replacement for somebody else, so there shouldn't be any shock.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Whether you liked it or not, shouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. No.
That's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
recently, Joe, I read this article, shifting gears a little bit here, that you just
Sure.
did this concert in Minsk, of all places. Excuse me. And it was the let me see here, at the Dynamo National Olympic Stadium in Minsk, the capital, largest city in Belarus. That sounds pretty impressive.
It really is. So it's a pretty spectacular sound when you've got a 36-piece orchestra doing this with a rock band inclusive. So it's a nice concept, and it's a great night out, and everybody had a good time. And if anybody has any aversions about locations, I play for people, not politics.
Yeah.
I have my own opinions about politics and things like that, but I don't play for politics. I play for the people. You want me to play, I will go there and play for you. Price is right, of course. It's got to meet, our bottom line, but at the same time, I will go. It's a business, and yet I love playing for people. So no shame in that.
Yeah, no shame at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the first time I actually heard about what went on at the concert, Joe. So, I mean, the reports are just mostly about the hair thing, the hair piece, the lack thereof. And, this story is covered. They cover the story a lot. I mean, it's really cool. It was very courageous what you did. And I remember it was Graham Bonnet. I thought what he said about this last year, I mean, it almost moved me to tears what he said, because he was just so like, this is amazing what he's doing. I support him 100%. People didn't know the truth of this. I don't think you and I even really talked about this last time because it was just in the news and I figured everybody already knew about it, but they're still talking about it, Joe. I mean,
Dave, what gets me is you get crucified if you wear the wig. You get crucified if you don't wear the wig. What the hell? I would rather say another word. But what the did they want? What's going on here? You just want to crucify me, pick on me? I mean, as a la the Rolling Stone article, I think I said, I've been crucified many times. And that's the truth. And I don't really mind because I can take it. I'm stronger than most of them, than all of them. And I don't get it. You people have obviously nothing else in your life. And I feel very sorry for you. You're so empty and so shallow that this is the story, not the music, but the damn hair. I mean, who cares?
Right.
As a matter of fact, in Minsk, I called a friend of mine from Paris out, Pierre Idel, great singer. And geez, what's the other guy's name? I had just met him. Anyway, we're all bald like this. And I called them the Skull Brothers. And we had a great time doing like Smoke on the Water, 3 bald guys singing.
That's awesome.
And it was just tremendous because there wasn't one hair flip in the bunch. I'm so sick of those hair flips. Not because I don't have any hair, but because it's like the thing to do.
I
You
know.
know,
I know.
develop a style. Somebody be original. You know,
Right.
do something. So anyway, referring to me, I really don't give a shit. It doesn't hurt me. I've
Right.
been overbullied as a kid, so I'm tough as nails. But you know what? It's so sad. I really mean that. It's
Yeah.
just so sad that these people have nothing else to define their character with, or maybe lack of character. So it says more about them than it does me. It
Yeah,
really does.
I guess I'm thinking about what you're saying here, and I'm wondering, how do you get more clicks? Do you talk about what songs you performed? Do you talk about how good you sounded vocally? I mean, what you're in your 70s and you still sound great. I mean, Belly of the Beast
Thank
was
you.
amazing production on
Thank
that,
you.
the vocals. I think a lot of people. I think there were a few people that were surprised, like, hey man, Joe Lynn Turner, he's got a lot of gas in the tank. He must have taken care of his voice, and he's out there belting it out. Your contemporary there, Graham Bonnet, he's another freak of nature out there doing that stuff
Love
still.
Graham.
Um, but I was just expecting a little bit more about the set list, or
Music.
something. You know what I
Music.
mean? That's all. And it's good to know that it was a good show. So you've heard it here first. It was a really good show.
Good
And
show.
Joe was great, and his band was great, and the orchestra was great, and Minsk was great. Everything was great.
Here's the shock. Here's the shock, right? I was, because I had once said, and I said it in the press release when Belly came out, and I just said, look, when I get hired to do like the old classic stuff, sometimes I'll wear the wig, and when I do Belly stuff, I won't, it's this other persona or whatever, and it's all theater anyway. I mean, just look at Kiss, just look at Slipknot, just look at Alice Cooper, just look at any of them,
Yeah.
that have an alter ego or a persona, and the fact of the matter, maybe that shocked him, was the fact that I came out and did some classic stuff, Rainbow and Deep Purple, like this. It just didn't matter to me, See, that's not on my mind. I just went out. It's a summer night. It's a lot cooler. The breeze was blowing. And you know what? I thought it was, I just said, yeah, why not? It was no big deal. So why this was such a big deal? Oh my God, he didn't talk about the music. They talked about, well, he did it without the wig. Well, Jesus, didn't you see the cut? Didn't you see Belly of the Beast cover? Didn't you see the video? I'm doing it for hundreds of thousands of people. What's your clue?
Right.
Duh.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's so useless. The yellow press.
Yeah.
This is what I call the yellow press, because they just want to stir up shit, clickbait, try to get under somebody's skin. Hey, boys, or shall I call you girls,
Nope.
whoever you are, you're not going to get under my skin.
Yeah.
You never will. You cannot beat a veteran like me. Forget about it, because I'll come back and bury your ass. No
Oh,
problem.
wow.
I don't need you. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think I told him to go fuck off anyway. I think I did. I think
All
I got to
right.
check YouTube. So that's that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll just leave all of this in. I was gonna think I might have to edit some of this out, but this is just classic Joe Lynn Turner, and Belly of the Beast. Obviously, maybe Joe. They're a little afraid to talk about the music because the subject
Lyrics.
matter isn't the
Yes.
typical guy meets girl cruising down the
Yeah.
road.
Nope.
You're doing like hardcore stuff. You're calling out a lot of things in the world right now, and
Yes, I
you would
am.
think people might be interested in what you have to say. You know?
I'm shocked at all that, um, because finally I think I will be vindicated, and many people like me will be vindicated. And when they ask me how I knew, I will say, "How come you didn't know?"
Yeah.
And it shocks me that nobody wants to really be realistic these days. I mean, if you look around us, we're living in a clown world. It's
Yeah.
a great way to put it, a clown world. Reality has no place here anymore. The gender situation. I mean, come on, man, it's biology. It's very simple. I don't want, can I identify as as a black chick from Korea, what is this cool? What happens? Can I identify as a possibly an animal? Identify? Look, honest to God, I don't understand why people comply with this when they full well know that's not the case.
Yeah.
You can have what you want to be, but I don't have to subscribe to your pronouns. I'm I'm not going to. I'll call you by your name. Tell me your name and I'll call you by your name. But I'm not going into pronouns and changing my verbiage for you because you demand it. What if I wanted to be identified as the hottest guy in the world? All right. Every time you had to say something to me, I'm, hey, Mr. Hottest Guy in the world, or Mr. Beautiful, or Mr. Great. What if you could just imagine that? This isn't reality, Dave. So we're living in an unrealistic world where people do not want to see reality for what it really is. They want to turn two blind eyes, not just one, but two blind eyes. And they want to just agree so they can become part of the crowd, part of the herd, part of the sheep. And in my opinion, they lack integrity, they lack character, and they lack a spine. They're cowards because you people know what's real deep down inside, and you have to subscribe to that. You cannot just continue to fake it because you're destroying your culture, you're destroying your livelihoods, you're destroying your country.
Mm-hmm.
This is absurd.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even want to get into the pedophilia. I don't want to get into the trafficking. I don't want to even get into it because it is so bad. It is so dangerous and so destructive. Why don't people stand up and do this? And you know something? Like Mel Gibson, he's coming out with a 4-part series. What's his name? James Caviezel.
Jim
He's coming
Caviezel.
out
Yeah.
with a film.
Yeah.
These people are standing up, and I'm telling you, they're going to get crucified, if not killed. And that's what's going to happen to people who tell the truth. Really,
Yeah. I think you.
somebody preaches love thy neighbor, and they nail him to a cross. That's what
Yeah.
happens. It's
Yeah,
a
that's
shame.
true. That's very true.
Shame.
I think you just touched on it though. There's a lot of material out there for follow-up albums for you, and there's a lot of material out there if other people in this industry wanted to kind of spread that message using music, because music, again, people listen to a good guitar solo, good riff or something, Joe, and then they'll be like, "Huh, this sounds pretty cool," and then like guys through osmosis, eventually the guys start to figure out that there are lyrics, and women, I think, are way better at lyrics, like getting the lyrics in the first run.
I agree.
But you would think there's a huge market. I mean, what is there to sing about out there that hasn't already been touched upon? The relationship things and the darkness and this and that. But there's a way, I think, to educate people, and I think you've successfully done that in putting this album together. You surprised a lot of people because it wasn't what people were expecting from Lynn Turner. We thought we were going to get, this garden variety AOR album. Not that that's a bad thing. That's kind of in my wheelhouse. But we heard this real aggressive, but also very interesting album. And it truly is an album because there are songs on there that address certain things that are going on right now. Are you planning on doing a sequel to this, kind of like a movie?
Well, Dave, an artist paints or writes, whether it's music, novels, whatever, usually about the world around them. They try to be a mirror reflection of what is happening in reality. It should sort of resonate back at them, and then they filter it through and send it right back out to the people. And as you said, this sometimes awakens a perspective that maybe some people didn't have before through the arts, be it, like I said, painting or books, lyrics, writing, whatever. And that's what I was trying to do with Belly of the Beast. I was trying to say, all I did really was wake up one day and went, let me write about what I see, what I know. This is what's happening, man. And nobody wants to talk about it, especially rock and roll. We were outlaws, we were rebels. I come from the 60s, man,
Yeah.
where hell no, we won't go to Vietnam. And look what they found out. It was an unjust war.
Yeah. They were
All
right.
war is unjust. All war is unjust. War only happens when you run out of ideas.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you
That's,
can't think
oh,
of how to, that's
wow.
really what it is. You got to negotiate, come together here. You don't need more, all these people sending their sons, daughters, and out to war to die. If you have any children at all, it's like, how could you even do that? I mean,
No.
how could you just send them out there to die? And how could you keep paying for it? And your tax money, people, is paying for this. You are just as guilty by association. Stop the war. I am totally against war. I'm totally for peace, negotiations, live and let live. Stop the imperialism. Stop the boogeyman, bad guy, all this. Everybody needs a bad guy all the time. Why? Because they want to take over your country and we want you to do what we want you to do. Wait a minute, man. How do you know what you're doing is right? Maybe we got a couple of problems back here. Look, USA, man. I am a total USA citizen and I love America, but I don't like what's happening to America. And
Yeah.
I'm finally saying it. Why don't you all stand up and say it instead of accusing somebody who says what's real, that I'm unpatriotic? Hey, my ass was in Iraq. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Anybody else? So don't call me, some of these people, oh, you're not patriotic. You're a commie. Commie. There is a commie. Communism. That went out with Khrushchev, man. You better you better read some material. These people are stupid. It baffles my mind. It
Yeah.
really does, that this is happening. So I have another album? Of course I have albums in me because all I have to do is write about life. All I did before was write about life, whether it was Street of Dreams, which is
Yeah.
my reincarnation theme. I'm married to the woman in that song.
Nice.
Okay. I mean, this is all real stuff. It could have been Eyes of Fire, whatever from Rainbow. Name a song. Can't Let You Go. I mean, all I said was, no, I don't want to just write another love song because that anybody can do that, really. Anybody can do that. We could keep putting out that stuff. I love me, I love you, sky is blue shit forever.
Yeah.
Give me some substance. Give me something to hang my hat on. Where in the old days, that's what I used to sit and listen with my headphones as a kid. And I used to listen to Hendrix with his amazing lyrics. I did my English literature thesis on Axis Boulder's Love because that guy was definitely touched from another planet. He said things that nobody has said since,
Yeah.
okay? Not
Wow.
even touched upon. Or even Zappa in his sarcastic, comedic way. Brilliant stuff. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Sure, there's albums worth, but I've noticed that people don't want to talk about reality. They'd rather live in this false clown world and a three-ring circus, where they just say yes to everything and that all of this is healthy and good. No, it's not, people. It's not healthy and it's not good. No.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. After long considerations, I don't believe it is.
Right.
I can respect your opinion of it, but for me, it's not my cup of tea. It's not going to go down. So I will continue writing about what I see, and including the people who bury their head in the sand and don't want to know what's really going on. We
Joe, are
did
you?
that with, we did that, Dave. Let me interrupt by saying we did
Go
that
ahead.
with Mother's Army. I was just
Yeah.
talking to Bob Daisley, and good friend of mine, still with Mother's Army, and we've got a lot of political lyrics there and a lot of worldly stuff. Anybody want to check that out? It's our actually like an anniversary of sorts for the Fire on the Moon album, and some heavy stuff. And we got buried with that too back then
Yeah.
because it seems that people reality is too difficult to swallow, and it's a shame. But I pray for their strength and
Hmm.
I pray for wisdom for
Do you ever
them
get?
to achieve that.
Did you ever get a call from someone saying, "Hey Joe, I can't publicly say this, but I agree with what you're
Oh
saying."
yeah.
Do you have people
Oh
do that?
yeah. Oh yeah. And you know what I say? I say, look, if that's your point of view, I respect that to a degree because I probably would respect you more if you were a warrior and you stood up and you died on that hill, because that's where I'm going to die, on that hill, the hill of truth, the hill of reality, the hill of principles, values. And I'm not going to let that go. My father didn't go to the war for get his ass shot up for that, and I saw what was going on in Iraq, and I saw the aftermath of Iraq, and I saw the billions and billions, which is what it is, the military industrial complex. I mean, you people better get with it, man, because you're being taken over the coals right now. You're being faked right now. They are playing you big time. And I'm here to tell you that.
Yeah,
Playing you. And
yeah.
and and it's your futures. It's our country's future. It's our families. You got to wake up, people. Come on, man. Gather together because there's more of us than them. We
You
could
would
win this
hope.
thing.
You would hope. The music world, I don't understand because, and I think you and I touched on this when we were just chatting before we went live here, but it seemed like in the 60s, especially, there was a real anti-war sentiment. And there was this, I remember there was this slogan, "Don't trust anyone over 30." And I
That's
read books
right.
because I was just like a toddler back in those days. But and then even in the 80s, like the 80s, there were early 80s, there were these no nukes concerts. I'm sure you remember
I
seeing
know. It's
that.
there.
Yeah,
It's
and okay,
there.
there you go. And where did that all go? Where did it go, Joe?
It, it, it just almost doesn't seem to exist that people just sort of support. They just believe propaganda. People will say, their argument will be like, well, this guy's a bad guy or this is happening. No, no, no. Get your facts first. Find out why, what, when, where, and how, and then come and talk to me, because I've had a lot of people change their mind over time. That's what time does. All of a sudden, at 1 minute they had one perspective, and then 6 months now later, they're like, wow, oh, I see what's really going on here. Yes, that's right. Open your eyes, open your mind. Critical thinking is what we need, people. Think critically. Don't just watch your evening news. They're lying to you. If they open their mouth, they're lying to you. If the politicians open their mouth, they're lying to you.
Yep.
That's exactly the way it is. There's so much corruption in all these governments.
Yeah.
You know what government means? Now that I'm at it, okay, government, right? Government, first of all, is mental, is your mind. This
Hmm.
is Latin,
Yep.
government, okay? Govern means to control. That's what govern, the root of the word. It's to control your mind. It's right there in the word.
Wow.
Nobody seems to know that. I
Wow.
swear, that's true.
It's good stuff.
Nobody seems to know that. When I explain Belly of the Beast and I explain what the lyrics are about the Black Sun, come on. This is the Nazi era. This is the insignias. This is what's happening even now.
Yeah. There's a
I,
certain group of soldiers wearing that symbolism right now,
New
today.
York Times just did you see that New York Times article? They come out and they're trying to throw a propaganda by saying, oh, they're just honoring, the old Nazis. And wait a minute. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, actually, you came out and said they were Nazis in that location. Now you're trying to say they're just honoring the Nazis. These are neo Nazis. What are
Mhm.
you kidding me? I'll show you. You can't get any. You can get anything you want off the internet. You cannot delete anything. You can always bring it up. And I brought it up, and I saw where they wrote that they were Nazis, and now they're writing that they're just, honoring it. What do you mean honoring it? You're honoring Hitler? What are you honoring? You're
Yeah.
honoring Nazism?
Even if that was true, right? I mean? You're apologizing. You're making it okay for
Yeah,
them to honor. I mean, if we honored like slave owners here in the United States, oh, this is a we're going to do a whole thing for slave owners, people that own
Yeah.
slaves. The outrage, and deservedly so, wouldn't end, Joe. It would be for months, if not years after that.
Don't get me on this racist crap because everything is racist. As soon as you don't agree with somebody, you're racist. No, I'm not a racist. I grew up with Latinos, blacks. I sang soul music for most of my life. The way I learned how to sing was from my brothers in a park drinking Ripple wine. I mean, I was black as they come, man. I just went into a different direction. I was in a band called Filet of Soul with James Taylor, who was cool in the gang. Ladies Night, all those hits.
Yeah.
That I was in that
Yeah.
band. Okay. And all of a sudden you're racist. You see, here's what's happening. And I write about it in Belly of the Beast. Division. It's an old saying, divide and conquer.
Yeah.
Once they divide us, if they divide us into segmented groups, we are weaker. Therefore, they can government, they can control your actions, your mind. Everything that they're doing right now is trying to control in a tyrannical, authoritarian way the whole world.
Yeah.
All of these governments are in what they call the Rockefeller lockstep. And if you don't know what that means, people, go look it up. Okay?
Yeah.
Lockstep. They're all doing the same thing. They're all trying to get this across, whether it's Trudeau or Macron or any of Merkel, any of them. It's all lockstep. They're trying to get everybody divided against each other so there's no unity. USA has always been unified. That's why it's called the United States of America, not the divided States of America. You understand? And we have lost that concept because they and the media, who is a real enemy of the people, have separated us, have put us at odds against each other. We forgot that we were all brothers, that we all died in 2 world wars and Vietnam and Iraq and everywhere else that they sent our boys to go. Okay?
Yeah.
This is just horrific, people. Horrific. We've lost our soul. We've lost ourselves, and we're losing our country. We're losing our family direction. We're losing our values. We're losing everything that is sacred to life itself.
Yeah.
Life itself. This is very disturbing. And Belly of the Beast talks about it, but they don't want to hear it. They're afraid of it because they want to be accepted. They don't want to be criticized. They don't want to be not part of the group. Well, let me explain something, people. As John, you're not in the club that the elites are in, and you never will be. George Carlin said it's a big club and you're not in it, and you never will be. You're with us right here on the ground, and there's more of us than them. We can win. We can take back and develop ourselves. All this money we're sending out to kill people, we could save our homeless, build our infrastructures, reduce taxes, build a country of prosperity, a golden age. You want that, people? Or you want what you got right now? What do you want? Think about it. Just think about it. Because you are, people, you are in the belly of the beast system.
Yep.
The beast system encompasses the educational, the medical, the governmental, every system, scientific, every system that we have. The beast system is that system that we are trapped in, and we're right in the middle of it. That's why it's called Belly of the Beast, because when the beast has raised its head, even the Bible speaks about this, okay? He's here, man. You know, we talk about positive and negative. We talk about God, the devil, whatever these things exist or they don't exist. I'll tell you what I do know exists. Good and evil.
Yeah.
That exists.
100%.
I see it with my own eyes. I see it with my own eyes every day. That exists because my eyes are not closed. My eyes are wide open. Okay? Good and evil. And that's what we're talking about here. This is like a spiritual war that's going on where they're trying to turn us against each other, trying to create evil inside of our own selves, losing our own souls. Save yourself. Save us all. Enough preaching. But really, this is the way it is. You're in the belly of the beast, man.
Wow. Not much I can add to that, Joe, other than agree with everything you just said.
Sorry for going off, but you know, I mean, somebody had to say it.
It's good
I guess
preaching, man. It's good
guess
preaching,
it was
especially
meant.
from a rock and roller. So what's next for Joe Lynn Turner? You got material, obviously. You're gonna record anything? You're gonna take a break for a while? You're gonna do a few more
Yeah. Well,
concerts? What's on the agenda for
yeah, I've
JLT?
got I've got some sporadic shows, here and there, and I've got some things lined up in the fall because the market today, due to pandemic and whatnot, is oversaturated. So in order to get into some of the good venues and some of the good festivals, they were already booked up way before because of the pandemic and everything that we lost in that. So I just took a back seat and said, you know what, I'm going to let the album get out there, let it filter out, hopefully get the people to start to come around that. And there's a lot of people that are to get with it, understand it a bit better, accept it, and start to realize that this would be a tremendous stage show. It really would. And we have some things in the planning with that, even some orchestral things in that. And we probably will do that in selected cities. However, for right now, I'm taking off for most of the summer. Got a few dates here and there. Got to go to Dubai and a bunch of places. But honestly, I really deserve to just kick back a little bit right now while the market is just completely filled, and just sit back and say, this is a good time for me to recharge, regroup, gain my, shall we say, wherewithal. And then I'll go out in the fall and start killing it. So it's going to be
Nice.
a lot of fun when I do, but I'm not exactly not busy.
Yeah.
I'm writing. I wrote a foreword for a friend of mine's book recently. I've been writing all kinds of. My writing, I think, is really what's taken over here. My desk is full with this stuff, and I find it really refreshing that I'm writing dissertations and different things that I'm going to put in a notebook, and maybe someday somebody will read them. We'll see. But it's a lot of
Cool.
fun.
Cool. Well, Joe,
Yeah.
as always, brother, you're welcome anytime on here. Anything you got going on,
Thank you,
just
Dave.
hit me up and we'll get you on. We'll get it out there to your fans and just everybody else because you have a really important message these days, and your music, I think, over these many decades, whether it's Rainbow or Deep Purple or your solo work or Ingve or Fandango or just all the different things that you've done,
Yeah.
man, you've covered a lot of ground, dude. You should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as far as I'm concerned.
Well, for some people, I am.
Yeah.
So, it's not. It never was about the celebrity of it. Not interested in that at all. Richie was always like that. God love him. I respect him for that intensely. He never cared about any of that stuff. It was always the people's choice. So I appreciate the thought, but at the same time, it's just for me. I just I just do what I have to do, and I just hope people get on board with that and start to like it or not. I just hope it makes you think. I hope it
Yeah.
makes you see another perspective, maybe that you didn't see before, and maybe I can turn the light on, or something, because that's really what art should be. It should be something you don't have to like it, and you don't have to hate it, but you should never forget it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Well
So,
said.
and
Well
thanks,
said.
Dave. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank
Thank you
you
for
for
letting me
coming on.
run.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. And, I just want to say blessings to everybody out there. And please take care of yourselves and take care of the people you love and even the people you don't love.
Hmm.
They deserve it too.
All right.
So, and we'll meet again. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll
Thanks,
meet again.
Joe. God
All right,
bless you
man.
and that lovely wife of yours and your
Thank you.
family and everybody
Thank
else.
you.
Take care.
Thank you, Dave. All the best to you.